crafters, I'm DM Scotty. Welcome to the DM's Craft. Good to have you with me. Today I'm going to do a variation on my Brazier video where I had like flames. I want to do like a magical green fire that I'm using for AJ's crypt. And I want to put a thanks out to AJ. He's really been patient with me. I really want to detail the process of the crypt. And I still have a few more videos I want to get out on it before I ship it off to him. So thanks again, AJ, for your patience. And with this video, I just want to show a couple things. It's very similar to the Brazier video, except, like I said, it's a magical flame. It's not a standard flame. So I wanted to show you a couple things. One thing was how you can kind of change things up to get an interesting look from kind of the same basic components. And also how you can add some decoration can really change up how something looks. So let's go to the table and I'll show you how we did that. For the start of my project, I'm going to use these wood shapes, and these are just called woodsies. And you can get these at the craft store, and they come in all kinds of cool shapes. So these are great starting blocks for this kind of thing. So now what I need to do is, I want to add this to the base. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over and glue it like this to make that shape. So now what I use is, I like to use a glue called Goop. This particular kind is craft goop, but they have regular goop too. And so you just take the edge, and this glue is kind of viscous, so keep that in mind. So I like to kind of rim the edge on the inside so that way it doesn't get all goopy on the outside. And then you can just, because the inside will be hidden when we finish this project, and then just apply it to the base. And then let that dry, and that'll be a great bond on there. So there we go, we have the start of our unique brazier. Now here you see my brazier is dry, it's all ready to go. Now I've created a flame. I'm going to do like an eldritch flame. I'm going to make it like a greenish flame, so it'll be really cool. But I've done the same technique that I did with the other braziers, where I just used a cotton ball and added some glue to it and made it hard. So I made this, when I do this, I set it inside so I make sure that it's the right size while it dries, so that I can get it, make sure it'll fit in there. So that's how I'm going to do the flame. But now I want to have some decorations around the edge. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use some little skulls I got. I actually got these at a party store, and they're called skull and bone beads. And they're just, you can see it's just skulls and bones on them. There's like 6 necklaces. So this is plenty for me to use in my crafts. So I'm going to grab a section of this necklace, and I'm just going to cut it off. And then my goal is to get the skulls off of here. So I'll just cut those right off. And so now we're ready to decorate the brazier. Now I have all my skulls ready to decorate the brazier, and one problem they have these little pieces of the necklace still left on it. So what I'll do is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, and I'll just trim that right off. Alright, so now I'll do the rest of these, and then I'll be ready to apply them. Now I've got my beads and the brazier, and I'm going to use my goop. Let's apply it to the bottom of the skull. Stick it on the edge. Now I want to leave enough room that the flame can still pop out, so be mindful of that. And I'm going to put them at thirds around the brazier. All right, so ready to go. and we'll move on to the next step. My vessel is dried with the skulls and everything on it. Looks nice, but I like to add one more little touch. And I want to make it a little more menacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these icicles that I got at a dollar store on Christmas, and I'm going to cut them off and then place some on top of the skulls. So I'll just do that and come back and show you what it looks like. If you're going to cut these off, just you could use some nice heavy scissors, and that'll work just fine. So now I've cut them out, and if you feel that they're not even, you can always use like a sharp blade or an X-Acto and kind of scrape the bottom a bit to get it a little more even. If you don't feel your cut was good, that can kind of help keep them from just pointing in weird directions. And to glue them on, I'm just going to use my goop glue. My favorite glue, as you know. Some great glue. So there we go. So I will do the others, and then we'll come back and paint it up. Show what it looks like and paint it up. So now I have all the spears stuck on the skulls, and it looks pretty thoroughly wicked. Remember when you're working with goop that it's it's goopy, so it can be very stringy and sticky and globby. So what I like to do is use a toothpick. So when I put these on, I just like pulled the glue, the excess glue away from the base of these, points. So at the bottom of the points. So that way, there's not a big, on the piece when you look at it. So we'll let this dry, and then we'll paint it up. I'll paint it up black, and we'll come up and finish it up. My flames have hardened, and now I want to paint those a nice color. I'm going for like a kind of a greenish glow. So what I'm going to use is this bright lemon lime for the flames themselves. So I've got that on my palette. Grab my brush, and I'll just start applying it. And I've wet it down a bit just so it'll apply easier. Alright, so I'll finish those up, and then we'll move to the next step. Now that I've got my green finished, I'm going to add a little bit of pineapple. It's a light yellow, just like you might add a highlight to a regular flame. So I'm just going to grab that and then just kind of hit it as kind of a highlight. All right, we'll move on to the next step now. Here's my model straight out of the of painting it flat black. And one thing sometimes that you may have a problem with is when you're painting this kind of stuff, getting in some of these crevices. And that's why I always like to, do a second coat if I need to fill in that kind of stuff instead of just hitting it with the paint and gooping everything up. If you're finding you're having a hard time getting in certain crevices of a model, just back off and then you can hand paint it in. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to paint the whole object. So I'm going to use my sequin black. This is actually metallic black. They also have a sequin black, which is just basically, it just has black with metallic particles in it. And I like it because it gives it a nice sheen. So I'm going to just water my brush and just start painting that on. So, and I'm going to make sure I get in the crevices that I missed for one thing. But I'm painting the whole object. So I'll paint this up black. with this metallic black. We'll let this dry and then we'll add some more detail. Alright, so here's my urn all dried up, and you might be able to see those little metallic specks on there. They just kind of give it a nice little detail. So what I want to do though is I want to pick out some more detail on this, and I'm going to use a metallic peridot, and it's a greenish metallic, and I'm not going to hit it too much, just some of the edges and things. So what I'll do is I'll maybe go around the edge of the urn like this kind of thing. So I'll hit all the edges. I'll do a little bit on the skull face to kind of bring the skull out, so that you can see that. All right. Also, and I want to hit the spines here a little bit on the top to kind of give that a little bit of detail. So now I'll go around the rest of the piece, and I'll do some of the I'll do the rimming and a little bit on the skull faces and everything, and then I'll give you a look at it. I have finished up my highlighting with the metallic green, and here I'll give you kind of a look at it. You can see how that picks out the edges and just gives a little nice little detail on that urn. So I also want to do a little bit where like the light is reflecting or coming out of the hole of the urn. So I'm going to use my green, the lemon lime green that I use, and I'm going to grab that on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of pull it out from the center hole a little bit, and see how that kind of adds to it. And I'll just go all the way around. Just kind of pull it out there. You can also go a little bit behind the skulls maybe, and put a little bit of, like it's flickering up on the skull, because that's right beside the flame itself. Alright, there we go. It's pretty nice. Now I want to do one last detail to this urn, and we'll move to that. This might be a bit hard to see on camera, but I want to try to do a little bit of detail on the skull itself. So I'm going to use a very thin brush, and I'm going to use that lemon lime color that's the flame, and I'm going to let's see if I can get that, paint in the eye sockets, kind of give a neat effect. Okay, so I'll try to show you that on the camera. So yeah, so now I'll do the rest of the eye sockets, and then all that's left is to attach the flame. So to attach my flame, I'm just going to use some white glue. You could use goop or anything like that, or even white glue, so I'll just put some on the bottom there. And then pop it in the urn. All right. So now we have our flame, and our urn is our creepy urn with the creepy green light is complete. A little nod there to our typo negative fans. All right, cool. Now we'll finish the other one, and I'll put those on the tile and give you a look at it. So here we have a room from AJ's Crypt, actually, and I have the nice green light, green fire braziers in there. I think they look really great, really add atmosphere to the place. And these are great because, you know, you can move them all around the crypt and have them in different spots, you know, different locations when the players enter rooms, or anything like that. So that's what's cool about these. You can use them. You can use this kind of stuff in multiple locations in a dungeon, because it's very unlikely that players would ever be in different parts at the same time. Most players are going to stick together. So there you go. Those are some alternate ways that you can make braziers, add some details, a few little details, and just really change the look of them for the type of theme of the dungeon. So I'll see you next time on the DM's Craft. Hey crafters, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the DM's Craft. Make sure to subscribe, and I have tons of other videos, as you can see. I am the originator of the 2.5D method of crafting tiles. I also do dirt cheap terrain for the table. If all this intrigues you, make sure you check out all the videos below. Also, join my forum. We have lots of great crafters on there who give advice. I have a link above and below. And last but not least, remember, go forth and craft!